Hello. So number three on the chapter four problem set. In a head-on collision, an infant is much safer in a child safety seat when the seat is facing the rear of the car. Explain. So the claim is kind of already done for us. The claim is, the child's safety seat facing backwards, facing the rear is safer for us, or safer for the child. So when I go to evidence and data for what we're talking about here, um, excuse me, when the seats face the rear of the car, um, when the seats face the rear of the car, the outside object acting on the child to change their velocity to cause that acceleration is the back of the seat. So the force slowing the child down is exerted over the entire back of the child, including their head, their neck, their shoulders, their torso, a little bit of their butt too, I suppose. Um, so that's one piece of evidence that that force, when it's rear facing, is exerted over all those body parts for the child. The back of the seat also has padding, so the padding can increase the amount of time for the interaction that stops the child from moving forward. Um, if the seat is forward facing, then the outside object acting on the child to slow them down and stop them is the seat belt, and that seatbelt um, yeah, only exerts a force over parts of the body where it's in contact with the body. So a little line across their tummy, maybe a little bit over their shoulders, depending on how those buckles connect. But the other parts that are not in contact with the seatbelt are still being accelerated. Their velocity is changing. And so that means that other parts of their body have to exert the force on the parts that aren't in contact with the seatbelt. So the little itty bitty baby, their head needs to be slowed down appropriately, right? And so if they're forward facing, the seatbelt doesn't go across their head, so their head will still end up getting kind of moved forward. And the thing that stops the head from moving forward is, well, thankfully, the little baby has a neck, and so the neck exerts that force on the head. Um, and the same sort of thing can be said for arms and legs and things of that sort. Although the head is definitely a much more important body part. So those things would all go into my evidence and data sort of section. Then when I go to the reasoning or the physics rules, I would say, well, either direction the seat faces, the child will continue moving, the baby will continue moving in the same direction until an outside force acts on that child. That's a Newton's first law deal, right? An object will keep going at a constant velocity unless an outside force acts on the object. When the seat faces the rear, the back, neck, head are all experiencing that force from the seat, stopping the baby from moving, stopping the kid from moving. When a seat's forward facing, um, the only thing acting on them to stop them is the seatbelt. And another bit of reasoning or physics rule is that Newton's second law states total force, excuse me, is mass times acceleration. And if we expand that acceleration thing out, we can say total force is mass times final velocity minus original velocity over time, right? And the larger that time interval, the smaller the acceleration. The smaller the acceleration, the smaller the total force. So that padding is better. It does help, even though it's just an itty bitty bit of padding. That itty bitty bit of padding does help a lot. So with all of those things, we can say that, hey, more padding is better to reduce the acceleration total force on the child. More support, like that entire back of the seat, is better to get a force over that entire portion of the child, so other parts of their body doesn't have to exert like tension forces or compression forces to prevent parts of that body from being moved back and forth in ways that are unsafe. And so that all substantiates the claim that facing the rear of the car is better.